Welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin and today we're checking out the MSI P75 Creator 9SF, and this one's coming with the i9 9880H and the RTX2070 Max Q. So let's jump into it. First, let's look at the exterior. The P75 is larger than its little brother, the P65, but both are slim and pretty light considering the specs. It looks really professional with its all aluminium body, which gives it a more premium look and feel, and it does feel really well built. I have no worries about the build quality of this laptop at all, and it really is quite striking in a more sort of industrial way. So yeah, I really like the look of it. It's quite head turning and it doesn't have that kind of gamery look that some of the other laptops have. It looks much more professional. So yeah, this is a very good looking laptop and I do really like the way it looks. So let's have a look at the I/O, and we'll start on the left hand side and go from back to front. So you have your ACN, an RJ45 Ethernet port, a USB Type A 3.2 Gen 2 port, an SD card slot, which is really good to see on a creator focused laptop, your mic input, and a headphone input. Over on the right hand side, once again working from back to front, you have the Kensington lock, you have an HDMI out port, then you have a USB 3.2 Gen 2 display port and Thunderbolt 3 Type C port, which is quite good to see. You have two more USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A ports, and then that little one there is just a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type C port. Alright then, let's go over the specs. So as I mentioned earlier, it's coming with the Intel i9 9880H. So that's an 8-core, 16-thread CPU, 2.3 GHz base clock, and a 4.8 GHz boost clock, sitting on the Intel HM370 chipset. Now it has 32 GB of DDR4 memory at 2666 MHz. An NVIDIA RTX2070 Max Q with 8 GB of GDDR6 memory. Has two 512 GB M.2 SSDs in RAID. It's coming with gigabit LAN and 802.11 AC, as well as Bluetooth 5, which is pretty standard these days. Size-wise, it's coming in at about 396mm by 260 by 19mm thick, so it's pretty thin. And weight-wise, it's coming in at 2.25 kilograms, so it's also pretty light. That's pretty good to see given the specs that this guy's packing. So let's talk about the display. It's a 17.3-inch 1080p IPS display with 100% Adobe RGB color gamut and a 5.2mm bezel. The screen looks absolutely fantastic. It actually surprised me when I first turned it on how clean it looked. It looked really, really good. It has a huge amount of brightness, which means you can use it pretty much anywhere, and the colors look vivid and accurate, which is exactly what creators want. Now the IPS panel also means that viewing angles are very, very good. If you want to show someone else something, it's very easy, and that's nice. The only downside is that the gray to gray response times seem a little bit slow, but this is common for IPS panels, so I don't really think of it as that big of a deal. Overall, the screen is awesome. It's going to be really good for creators, people doing picture editing, video editing, anything like that. You're going to be impressed by it. It's really, really good. Sound-wise, it has two downwards firing speakers on each corner, and they go pretty hard. The sound quality was above average for a laptop, so I was pleasantly surprised. Of course, if you're serious about your audio, you're going to be using headphones, but for casual use or just to get you by, yeah, the speakers are just fine. Now let's move over and talk about the keyboard. So MSI laptops are well known for generally having really great keyboards, and this is no exception. The keyboard layout is the standard for MSI with the volume and brightness functions on the arrow keys. The keys have low travel and feel really natural to type on. I didn't have any issues with them really. The backlighting looks decent, but it's pretty standard. I would just turn it off, to be perfectly honest, and just save on battery. But for just typing, you know, typing a document or just general use when you're browsing the web and things like that, the keyboard's fantastic. I had no issues with it. It's really, really nice. You could type documents on this all day and you'll have no issues at all. And yeah, overall, it's just another good, solid keyboard from MSI. The touchpad is large, although some of that space is taken up by a fingerprint reader. It is very smooth and accurate, and you can click pretty much anywhere on the touchpad, so I found it very easy to use. The larger size makes it easier to navigate the display rather than a kind of like small one that can be a little bit difficult at times, so I did appreciate that. And overall, the touchpad is good. But once again, if you're a serious creator, you're of course going to be connecting a mouse up to it. So as something just to get you by, or maybe you're doing a little bit of editing on the go and you forgot to bring your mouse, then yeah, the touchpad will be able to get you by just fine. With all that being said, let's jump into the benchmarks and see how this laptop performs. Now, it isn't made for gaming, but I still tested out a few games with it because many people buying this will be doing productivity stuff, but they also may be playing games as well, like me. I'm a creator who also games. So I did a mix of both, some productivity tests and some games as well. So let's see how it did. And we're back. So yeah, the performance is really good. Honestly, for a laptop, it's really solid there. Good productivity numbers and also good gaming numbers. So if you're a creator who's gaming, it's just going to be a good all-round laptop to use. So yeah, as far as the performance goes, I was very impressed. Now let's talk about the heat and noise. So for any thin laptop, this is going to be an issue. And the P75 Creator gets good marks here, although it still runs into a few of those issues. So when I was doing the rendering test, the CPU still did get pretty hot, running up to about 95 degrees Celsius. This is not uncommon for thin laptops, and it's just one of those things. So yeah, they do run hot. Although honestly, the GPU temperatures were pretty good when I ran the Heaven benchmark. So that was good to see. But the noise levels were what impressed me. When you're doing casual things, browsing the web, I mean, there's just no noise. And when you're rendering or playing a game, it does still ramp up a little bit, but it's not that bad, especially compared to some other laptops out there. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Here's what the MSI P75 Creator 9SF sounds like when you're playing a game. Now let's talk about the battery life. So this is always difficult because we all have different settings and we all do different things on our computers, but I'll give you general numbers. So with medium settings and doing casual things like browsing the web and watching YouTube videos and doing things like that, I was getting about 5 hours. That's about typical, I would say, and pretty good to me. Now, if you use more conservative settings, you could see that go up to probably around 7 hours. Maybe turn down the brightness, maybe switch the power plan or something like that to a power saver one. You'd probably see around 7 hours then. If you go for higher settings and set it to high performance, or you're doing kind of higher workload activities on the laptop, you'll probably see that drop down to less than 3 hours. So yeah, overall, I would say generally speaking for most people just doing more casual, average things with medium settings, you're probably going to see about 5 hours, and I think that's decent. Software-wise, it's coming with Windows 10 Professional, and you get some MSI software as well, including MSI True Color, which is a really useful one for productivity users, especially if you're wanting to get those colors just right. It's very useful to use. The Creator Center, this is actually really good. I really actually like this. So it's sort of similar to the Dragon Gaming Center. It kind of lets you control everything, but it's just really good to go in. It's nice having it all in like one place. You can just go in and set all your different settings. There's a lot of useful things in there. So I really liked the Creator Center. That was good to see. And there's also the battery calibration, which is good, but I'd probably only do that, the first time. It does recommend you do it every 3 months. I don't know how many people are actually going to do that. Which brings us then to the conclusion. And what do I make of the MSI P75 Creator 9SF? Well, I think it's fantastic, honestly. It's well built, it's slim, and it's a relatively light productivity laptop that you can also use to game on. The IPS display is vivid, accurate, and it's just great. It's great for productivity stuff, and it's great for just general consumption, watching YouTube videos, things like that. It looks really good. It was a little slow while gaming, but I don't think that's going to be a big issue, and people coming from a desktop IPS display will probably be used to that anyway, so it's not really going to be a big deal. It has decent sound quality and a solid keyboard, which is really well laid out, and I really enjoyed using the keyboard. The touchpad is equally easy to use, and the large size is really nice. I think a lot of people are going to really appreciate that. The performance is really good, especially from that i9 CPU, but the temps were getting up there a bit. I mean, you can run a more aggressive fan curve to curb that a bit, but I would honestly just leave it at the stock fan curve if you're wanting something that's a nice balance between noise and performance. And overall, the P75 Creator 9SF is an awesome laptop, honestly. Like, I highly recommend it. So MSI sent it to me for 2 weeks. I did my review, obviously. I tested it out and put it through its paces. And at the end of it, I said to MSI, hey, I really like this laptop. As a creator who games, is it possible for me to hold on to it for a bit longer? And MSI said, yeah, that's fine. How about you have it for 6 months? I said, great. So yeah, I mean, I wanted to hold on to it. It's that good. So take it from me, guys. This is an awesome laptop. And if you're looking for something to use for, work, or maybe you're studying, but you also want something you can game on, then definitely check this laptop out. Honestly, it's a really, really, really good laptop from MSI. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, because I really appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.